Do they make swaddling clothes for adults? Because we watched Season 8, Episode 22, The Summer of George. So, Katie, how did you like The Summer of George?
Okay, as usual, I laughed in some places, and then I didn't like it. I was, again, not really interested in anything Kramer was doing.
He won a Tony.
And then, I only wrote like 2/3 of a page of notes, and then it had a weird ending. Did you like it?
It was kind of fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a drink.
Oh. That bad, huh?
It was kind of fine, I thought.
It's a ringing endorsement.
Sure. So The Summer of George was written by Alec Berg and Jeff Schaefer. It was directed by Andy Ackerman. It aired on May 15th, 1997. IMDb ranked it as the 58th best Seinfeld episode with an 8.5 out of 10. Screen Crush had it basically right in the middle with a 96 out of 180.
Sure.
And now, Close Stalkers, if you have been a 100%er, as they call them, and not missed an episode, and had written down how Vulture.com ranked every, you would know that Vulture.com, or we have yet to do the last remaining spot in Vulture.com's top 10 Seinfeld episodes.
No.
Coming in at number 9.
No.
The Summer of George.
Why?
That's ridiculous. Number 9. The Summer of George, Season 8. There's an argument among Seinfeld crowds that the show should have ended after Season 8. While that would have been a shame, there's more than a few solid episodes in Season 9, the last episode of Season 8 would have made a much better exit finale than the finale. Think about the cosmic perfection of Seinfeld ending with George almost relaxing himself to death.
No, I don't buy it. It's only a better ending than the finale in retrospect. I've not seen the finale, but I know that it's unsatisfying.
Oh, interesting.
Well, that's what I've heard. Maybe it isn't.
We'll get there. Hopefully.
I think by this point we're going to finish the series, right? We got 22 episodes left?
Do you think are you aware of the state of society right now?
You don't think we have 22 more weeks to go?
Man, 22? Yeah, we'll probably make it.
Yeah, I mean, how does this episode end? Let's just go right to it. George is in the hospital. He slipped on the envelopes. That's not a callback to the beginning of the series. It's just to the last episode of the last season. So It's a callback. It's funny, but it doesn't tie a bow on anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone just awkwardly stands around and is like, do you want coffee? Yeah, okay.
It's kind of what they do after Susan dies, right? The same thing.
Again, they're only wrapping up season 8.
Yes, they are only wrapping up season 8.
Right?
I think they're wrapping up season 8 in like a clever way.
Sure.
And, like clever homage back to an iconic Seinfeld moment.
Sure. But then Vulture takes it too far and says, it should have ended there. No, This wasn't an ending for a show.
I think that there's enough good episodes in season 9. Like I had never heard anybody ever say it should have ended after season 8.
Well, according to
until Larry, what's his name? Niven? Fitzmaurice. Yes.
Who's Larry Niven?
He's a sci-fi writer. He wrote Ringworld.
He seems to say that people are saying.
I'm hearing a lot of chatter about how people think Seinfeld should have ended after season 8. I'll cite Close Stalkers episode, The Summer of George.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about it.
Words have been said. So
I had a whole Signal chat going.
I invited some reporters.
Some TV critics, some...
Hey, Let's throw it back to last week when I asked you if you remembered this episode.
George is kind of on a high. He gets fired and he's gonna like live life. He starts playing Frolf. And
it's the summer of George.
It's the summer of George.
And?
I don't know if I nailed it. I remembered George playing Frolf and slipping on the envelopes, etc. Didn't really remember that, the Jerry storyline with the waitress and her live-in lover, her dude. Fun fact, this episode previously was titled The Dude, and then when the George storyline became more prominent, they renamed it. Didn't really remember that this was the episode where there was a character who didn't swing their arms when they walked, and didn't remember the Kramer, Tony, seat filler,
a lot happened.
Award-winning.
So who are the guest stars?
So a couple of guest stars. Obviously, we had Molly Shannon, who played Sam, the aforementioned woman who didn't swing her arms when she walked and looked like a gorilla. She was in Superstar, Night at the Roxbury, and 30 years of Saturday Night Live. Outside of the Saturday Night Live-verse, she's also been on Only Murders in the Building. She's been a voice on Bob's Burgers. She was on Twin Peaks. She was on In Living Color. Pretty storied career. This episode also featured Amanda Peet, who I recognize. Couldn't really be like what she was from. Anyways, she played Lynette. She was on Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. She was on a TV show called Jack and Jill. And she was on the movie Saving Silverman. And kind of like ones and twosies here and there. But we had Blake Gibbons, who played Lyle, the aforementioned dude. He was in hundreds of episodes of General Hospital. And then everything else, he was just kind of in like a onesie-twosie episode for like Dexter and CSI Miami and other cop procedurals.
He seemed fun.
He definitely had the look of a dude.
Yep.
Who was into the scene.
What's the scene?
The scene.
Is he gay?
I don't think so. And then we had Raquel Welch, who was playing herself. She was in 1973's The Three Musketeers, 1967's Fathom, and 1966's Fantastic Voyage.
So, I'll read the Netflix synopsis. I think I should have done that earlier. During a summer out of work, George acts as Jerry's dating intern. Elaine's coworker won't swing her arms. Kramer's a seat filler at the Tony Awards. And Jerry is also there. I like Jerry's storyline. I think it had a lot of potential. Him and George sharing boyfriend duties.
Yeah. I think they could have run that longer.
Yes.
They could have introduced it earlier.
Yeah.
And run it longer. Like it's almost like they had two ideas for a storyline that I think the relationship intern could in and of itself been a storyline, but then they also had this weird like other thing where there's this dude that she's obviously involved with, and then Jerry comes into the scene and she doesn't get out of it right away, but then they don't really know how to like wrap that up. She just comes and she's like, I'd rather be with you.
Well, she doesn't realize, but I think the dude does, that she needs two boyfriends. So that's why he's like, oh, hey, you're going to take her out? Cool.
See, I thought that they could do more like Jerry stumbles into a like somebody who's into like polyamory.
I thought that was where it was going to go, but I didn't think in the mid to late 90s we were talking about poly relationships.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I think that maybe could have been what is funny about it. It's like, how menage a trois, was a thing in the
it isn't anymore?
No, in the 90s, like it was like, ooh, this is like avant-garde to talk about this.
We have to say it in French because it's so exotic.
Exactly. And so like now like polyamory they could have treated that the same way.
Poly implying more than three?
I think once you have more than two, it becomes poly. I'm not an expert on the thing. Not being in the scene.
Oh, that scene.
You know, he has a bunch of stars on his
upside down pineapple on his bathing suit. Hey, so George is fired from the Yankees, and Jerry asks him what he actually did there.
They had a pastry cart you wouldn't believe.
And with his 3-month severance, those 3 months, I'm going to read a whole book.
From start to finish.
In that order. And then a CGI bee attacks him?
Well, then he mentions Frolf.
Yep.
And then a CGI bee attacks him. Which, I mean...
It would be funnier if they didn't CGI in the bee. Was that added later?
It was 100% added later.
No, I know it was CGI, but is it from the 90s or did they add it in later?
I think it's from the 90s.
It was bad.
Yeah. Do you think it would have been better if it was added later?
It should have looked better. But I thought maybe he just mimed it and they're like, oh no, we have to put a bee in there.
Yeah.
Like after it aired and stuff. I don't know.
I think that's probably what happened. They were probably like, this doesn't, like, it looks weird because I don't think he says anything about the bee.
No, but you could still put in the sound effect of a bee and then we understand there's a bee and it doesn't have to be like basically a cutout paper bee chasing him around.
Back when televisions weren't good, the bee probably looked better. Then we get the scene with Elaine standing around the water cooler with a couple of guys.
We don't really, while she was in charge, we didn't get a lot of the building. We only got Peterman's office.
Yeah.
So I kind of forgot that she still worked for Peterman because I'm not used to these views.
Yeah.
But I do remember her office, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're standing around and the guys all make fun of Molly Shannon and then she says something and she gets a rear. Why did I get a rear?
So you want to talk about the whole catfight thing?
Sure.
Is it a thing?
I've never been in one. It's an established thing that women in a workplace are going to be pitted against each other and compared to each other.
Mm.
And if one has a problem with the other, well, then it's, well, the girls are fighting.
Mm.
But has it ever, do women disagreeing with each other or not liking each other turn into physical catfights the way guys want them to? I don't think
the way that Seinfeld proposes guys want them to. I think I'm asking, does what Seinfeld...
Well, I should ask
what this
you
episode
then.
is Seinfeld proposing? I don't really think so. I think this is a forced... It's like, oh, you know how everybody loves when two women fight? It's so sexy. I think we're learning a little bit about one of either Alec Berg or Jeff Schaefer, or maybe both.
Yeah. Which one of them wrote Kramer's dialogue, which I just wrote down as catfight?
Yeah. That was probably more improv by Michael Richards than anything.
So I have to talk about arm swinging.
They hang like salamis.
They really did. I think also Molly Shannon was pushing her shoulders forward too.
Her arms look incredibly long in that first scene.
And fat. Like, was she wearing arm padding for that?
I don't know. Maybe those are fake arms.
Maybe they were salamis up there. It's not a thing I thought I'd ever say.
Maybe they were salamis up there.
But I have to talk about arm swinging because I feel like as I got suddenly taller as a teenager and like wasn't sure what to do with my lanky body, I wasn't swinging my arms when I walked. I know she's a lot older, but there was definitely a time where I was just like, I want to shrink and not be seen. And I just want to move as little as possible. I'm trying to keep my upper body still.
I can
also getting boobs. And you're just like, don't look at me.
I can definitely like envision like Tina from Bob's Burgers running and her arms are just like hanging. And so because she runs, they like
flap behind her.
Flap behind her like she's a noodle-based avatar.
Yeah. I think it's an awkward girl thing not to move your arms when you walk. But Raquel Welch? She's not an awkward girl.
It's her signature. Everybody knows she doesn't move her arms.
There's a lot of this in tap dancing. I'm casting a spell with my hands.
Mm-hmm. Thought you were spinning the ones and twos.
Mm-hmm. Ones and twosies. I like in the cafe when Elaine tells her she should move her arms and she storms out. Every one of the extras in the cafe watches her go, which I think was intentional because they wouldn't have been looking at her arguing with Elaine because she was so quiet. But everyone watches to see her awkwardly run out.
So in the scene where she confronts Elaine in her office and is like, I'll swing my arms. During the first take, she sliced her arm open on something and was bleeding everywhere.
Oh, no.
And refused to stop and did several more takes with an injured arm.
I'm not surprised.
Molly Shannon, professional actress.
Stunt woman. Expected her to throw herself backwards into some folding chairs. I don't think you've read her book, but you should.
From front to back? From start to finish?
Yep, front to back. Molly Shannon's book is very good and very sad.
In that order?
Good first, then sad. Yeah. Also front to back. So Kramer's at the Tonys. Turkey jerky? Take a pull.
Punches a man in the back of the head.
Yeah. I think we both laughed when he comes in drunk the next morning and he says, I saw the sunrise at Liza's.
Manelli?
No.
Good line.
So what this woman needs are brother husbands.
She should convert to Mormonism?
It doesn't really roll off the tongue like sister wives, but she needs bro-hos.
She needs to be poly.
Yeah.
She has a high energy girl who has a lot going on.
She's the high maintenance girlfriend.
Yeah.
But also, what can she do for herself?
I was thinking, like, why is Jerry doing these things for her?
She's pretty.
I'm throwing a party. You have to get me invitations.
What are the details?
We've been dating for 2 days.
Yeah.
And during that first day, you were another guy. And technically probably right before the second date.
Yeah.
What do you think the plot of Scarsdale Surprise is?
I don't know, but it reminded me we're watching Poker Face, and the fake play is called Ghosts of Scarsdale.
Oh.
What's going on in Scarsdale?
Warplanes?
In my mind, I kept mixing it up with Scottsdale, but Scarsdale is in New York State. It's also where your celebrity crush, Jessica St. Clair's husband, is from. And he wrote a memoir called From Scarsdale, which is very good, by Dan O'Brien. It's about his terrible childhood in Scarsdale.
Oh.
I don't just read books about people's terrible childhoods, but it seems to be a theme in this episode. I tried to look up what's special about Scarsdale and why it's the fictional setting of all these things. I couldn't really find anything, but recently the town of Scarsdale banned the sale of cannabis and tobacco from the entire town.
Oh, no.
And made smoking anything illegal everywhere.
How's that going for them?
I don't know. It is recent.
Is that the town that the Skarsgård family owns?
The town? You're messing with me. So Kramer's confronted at a restaurant by the other producers. They tell him he has to fire Raquel Welch. He goes to Jerry's, and I really like... Did you notice the shirt he was wearing?
It was a cool shirt, yeah.
It looked like maybe Saturn, but I don't think it was. It was just kind of like dots and like squiggles. Usually he wears ugly stuff. I really like that shirt. And then he goes, a story like that's gotta be true. Why did he say that again?
He said they cut one of Raquel Welch's lines and she climbed up onto the stage and started dropping lights on people. Story like that's gotta be true.
Well, again, in Ghost of Scarsdale, in Poker Face, the actress unscrews a light and it falls and nearly kills somebody.
Yeah, I don't think that's an uncommon like trope for death in theaters.
I know, but like, how many parallels do we need? There would have been a trap door in this episode. So I stopped paying attention when the Frolf disc, the frisbee, meets George because of the graphic. Shut up.
Oh, the like pop up.
Broop? Considering Jerry's face or frisbee, and I just started to draw it, and I didn't watch the rest of the scene.
I should have looked up who the guy is that comes up and is like, hey, we need a fourth for the back nine, because it might be some of the worst overacting for like ratio of like lines to overacting, because his like,
this is my shot.
His hands like, we just need a fourth for the back nine. Do you want to join us? His shoulders are bopping up and down.
He's the opposite of Sam. He's standing still and it's all arms.
Yeah.
Why, when George is wheeled out to them in the hospital, why do they point at the doctor? Is he somebody?
The doctor is the same doctor from...
Oh, okay.
Let George know about Susan.
Yeah, there's this awkward ending, and then George is in the rehab room, and Sam's there trying to learn how to swing her arms. The whole room is the size of a broom closet.
Nobody's helping George.
Nope.
A little bit of summer left.
Oh, is that what he says?
That's what he says.
I checked out.
I did like when he went back to the same invitation place, and the woman asked him, how did that go? No complaints.
Yeah.
Next time somebody crosses me, I'm going to tell them that I will feed their genitals to a wolf.
Especially if it's your child.
There was one, you probably didn't like it, but I really liked how in the scene where George slips on the envelope after he falls down the stairs and he's out of the shot, there's just one very simple ow.
That's okay. I did like when Kramer's confronting Raquel Welch. He says very quickly, you're fired because you don't use your arms when you tap dance. I gotta go. I don't know. There's enough to like about this episode that it belongs in the middle, but not the top 10.
No, I would agree with that. I think probably somewhere, maybe.
Let's just call Screen Crush the ranking of record.
I think maybe even they're a little bit unfair to it. I think it's probably a little bit higher than.
There are so many. This is our 155th episode or 6th. I can't remember.
I think this is better. This is better than an average Seinfeld episode.
Okay. That's also all I have to say about it.
Okie dokie.
How about you?
I'm smack dab in the middle of a good old fashioned cat fight. Another line that I liked was when Jerry said, like, each of us would only have to be half a man. That sounds about right.
I don't know. I feel like that's in service of this story. I feel like Jerry is a decent boyfriend. He just gets bored of women or finds something nitpicky about them.
Yeah, sure.
Like, he's not the problem.
It's not that he doesn't put effort in or do things with them, or he's unwilling to go places or be lazy. It's,
So I have a correction.
Yeah, sure.
I wrote down from last week something you said. I just wrote chicken actor, and I hope you remember why.
Oh, the person that they hired to play the CEO of Taylor Chicken refused to bob his head up and down while he was doing his lines. So they had to bring in just like one of the like production crew to play that role.
Are you serious? An actor gets a part on Seinfeld and they're like, I'm not going to move my head back and forth.
It said he refused. I don't know if like maybe he couldn't do it, but like you don't even have to say the lines, right? It's all voiced over. Yeah. So you just have to like sit in a thing. I don't know. Maybe he would
sit in a chair and move your head back.
Maybe he had a bad neck.
And last week you quoted Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I should admit that while I was talking, I couldn't remember Drop Dead Gorgeous. And in my head, I kept saying American Beauty. And I was like, I know that's wrong.
Yes, it was Drop Dead Gorgeous.
While I really love that movie, I often forget what it is called.
So last time Peterman wrote the book and there was a line sort of denigrating people who churn out a crappy book. And I wondered if that was relevant. And Seinfeld came out with sign language, but that was 4 years earlier. So maybe it's just a general dig. So we talked about Kramer showing Jerry something.
Oh, whether it was his chest or his pubes.
And we debated this hotly because I said pubes.
I said chest.
So Reddit. Phew. Reddit is divided right down the middle.
Mm-hmm. Did you find a poll or did you create a poll?
No, I found many discussions on this and read them all.
Yeah, sure.
So one post pointed out that Kramer is wearing a robe, so he's not unbuttoning his shirt. He's untying the robe to show Jerry. Okay, so you said it's got to be chest hair because he's unbuttoning a shirt. He's already showing chest hair. It's a robe. So he's undoing that to show lower down. Some people are firmly convinced that what you said, no one cared about continuity and it's chest hair. And that to me is a total cop-out. And for that reason, it might be the perfect ambiguous joke. Because we'll never know. But it's definitely pubes.
I think it's chest hair. Team chest hair or team pubes?
I'm not wearing a team pubes shirt.
You got anything else?
No.
Okie dokie.
So, next week, we may take a break.
Start of season 9.
Yeah. We'll, or maybe not. Because the next episode is the butter shave. When you saw that was next, you said, the butter shave.
Butter shave.
So, what's it about?
Kramer starts shaving with butter?
Okay. Can you remember, this is a new thing I'm going to try. Can you remember any other details from the episode? Not related to the main story.
He's chased by Newman, who fantasizes about him as a turkey.
Oh, I've seen this picture. I'm already disappointed. Well,
I think George starts a new job at a toy company.
Okay. We'll see. Bye.
And they might think he's handicapped. Goodbye. Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?